Sometimes the people who save us are the ones most in need of saving themselves. My name is Sarah Whitmore. I grew up in a small town in Kentucky, the kind where Sundays weren't just a day of rest. They were a way of life, and every Sunday, the same voice filled our little church. Pastor John Michaels, kind eyes, a calm voice, a man who could make even the hardest sinner believe in grace again. He'd been with us nearly 10 years, married the local florist, blessed every newborn, and buried every soul we'd lost. He wasn't just our preacher, he was family. But one day, the truth came knocking, and it came with a name we'd never heard before. It started on a rainy afternoon. I was helping Pastor John organize old church donations in the basement. He was quiet that day. Distracted, I asked him if everything was okay. He smiled, but his hands trembled as he packed boxes. "Just tired," he said. Later, when he stepped out, I noticed something fall from his jacket pocket. A folded piece of paper, yellowed with time. Curiosity got the better of me. I picked it up. It was a faded newspaper clipping, with his picture on it. Only the name under it wasn't John Michaels. It said Raymond Carter. The headline read, "Local man sentenced for armed robbery vanishes after parole." I froze. My hands shook. The man who baptized my children, the man who spoke of forgiveness every Sunday, had once been a criminal. I wanted to believe it wasn't true, that maybe it was someone who just looked like him. But inside, something told me this wasn't a mistake. When he came back, I tried to act normal, but I couldn't look him in the eyes. That night, I couldn't sleep. His sermons, all those words about redemption and truth, echoed in my mind. And I started to wonder, did he preach about grace because he needed it more than any of us? The next morning, I decided to find out the truth. I drove to the county courthouse and asked for records on Raymond Carter. The clerk looked through some old files, then slid a folder across the counter. Inside were mugshots, reports, and a parole document. There was no doubt it was him. 10 years ago, he'd been released early for good behavior, and then disappeared. My stomach twisted. I wanted to believe there was a reason, but I also knew our town trusted this man completely. I didn't know what to do. Should I tell the congregation? Confront him privately? I decided to go to the one person who might understand. Our church treasurer, Mrs. Langley. She listened quietly, then sighed. "I always wondered why he never talked about his past," she said. "Sarah, maybe give him a chance to explain." That evening, I visited his home. He was sitting on the porch, reading from a worn Bible. When he saw me, he smiled gently. "Sarah, I was hoping you'd come." I froze. "How long have you known I knew?" I asked. He set the Bible down. "Since yesterday. You left the clipping in your car. The clerk called me this morning." He didn't look angry, just tired. "Raymond Carter," I said quietly. "That's your real name?" He nodded. "I was young, desperate. I robbed a store to pay my mother's medical bills. A man got hurt. I went to prison for it." His eyes filled with tears. "When I got out, I wanted to disappear, to start over. So I changed my name. Walked into a church one day, and something inside me broke, and healed at the same time. I didn't know what to say." He continued softly, "I never lied to hurt anyone, Sarah. I lied because I didn't believe anyone could forgive me for who I was." He paused, "But God did, and I hoped maybe people could too." The next Sunday, he stood before the congregation. No robe, no prepared sermon, just the truth. He said, My name isn't Pastor John Michaels, it's Raymond Carter, and before I found God, I was a criminal. The church went silent. I'll never forget that moment, when a man stripped himself bare before the people who loved him most. Some walked out, some cried, but most stayed, because for the first time, he wasn't preaching forgiveness, he was living it. In the weeks that followed, the town was divided. Some demanded he resign, others defended him, but over time, the truth began to settle like dust after a storm. People remembered the good he'd done, the children he'd baptized, the couples he'd married, the lives he'd comforted. And one by one, they came back to church. He never asked for trust again. He earned it. Slowly, quietly, humbly. One Sunday, after service, he said to me, "Sarah, redemption doesn't erase the past. It just stops it from owning you." When he passed away, years later, the whole town filled the church to say goodbye. On his gravestone, the words he chose himself were carved, "Raymond Carter, forgiven at last." And below it, in smaller letters, "Redemption begins where lies end." Moral: redemption begins where lies end, because truth may break what's false, but it also builds what's real. Thank you for listening to the story. If it touched your heart, please leave a comment below. Tell me what redemption means to you. And don't forget to subscribe for more true emotional stories about forgiveness, truth, and second chances. Until next time, take care of your soul. And remember, no one's past is too dark for a little light to find its way in.